Are you able to set it? It's okay then. We'll do it without the laptop. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. My name is Naimishwara Das, and I'm a disciple of His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu. We'll start with Jai Radha Madhav. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari O Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari O Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai Harinam Sankirtan ki jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So today we'll be reading from Canto 4, text chapter 9, which is titled Dhruva Comes Back Home, verse number 2. So it's 492. We can all pull it up on our phones. Again, it's Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 9, Text 2. Good? Everyone's good? Okay. Savedhiya yoga vipakati vraya Ritpadmakoshe spuritam tadit prabham Tirohitam sahashaiva palaksya Bahistitam tad avastam dadarsha Savedhiya yoga vipakati vraya Ritpadmakoshe spuritam tadit prabham Tirohitam sahashaivopalakshaya Bahistitam tad avashtam dadarsha Savedhiya yoga vipakati vraya Ritpadmakoshe spuritam tadit prabham Tirohitam sahashaivopalakshya Bahistitam tad avashtam dadarsha. Please chant. Savedhiya yoga vipakati vraya Ritpadmakoshe spuritam tadit prabham Tirohitam sahashaiva polakshaya Bahistitam tad avashtam dadarsha Savedhiya yoga vipakati vraya Ritpadmakoshe spuritam tadit prabham Tirohitam sahasavapalakshaya Bahistitam tadavashtam dadarsha. Would anybody else like to? Savedhiya yoga vipakati vraya Ritpadmakoshe spuritam tadit prabham Tirohitam sahasavayopalakshaya Bahi stitam tadavashtam dadarsha. Word for word. Saha Dhruva Maharaj. Vai also. Dhiya by meditation. Yoga vipaka tivraya. On account of mature realization of the yogic process. Rit, the heart. Padma koshe, on the lotus of. Spuritam, manifested. Tadit prabham, brilliant like lightning. Tirohitam, having disappeared. Sahasa, all of a sudden. Eva, also. Upalakshya, by observing. Bahistitam, externally situated. Tad avastham, in the same posture. Dadarsha, was able to see. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The form of the Lord, which was brilliant like lightning, and in which Dhruva Maharaj, in his mature yogic process, was fully absorbed in meditation, all of a sudden disappeared. Thus, Dhruva was perturbed, and his meditation broke. But as soon as he opened his eyes, he saw the same Supreme Personality of Godhead personally present, just as he had been seeing the Lord in his heart. Purport. Because of his mature position in yogic meditation, Dhruva Maharaj was constantly observing the form of the Personality of Godhead within his heart. But all of a sudden, when the Supreme Personality disappeared from his heart, he thought that he had lost him. Dhruva Maharaj was perturbed, but upon opening his eyes and breaking his meditation, he saw the same form of the Lord before him. In the Brahma Samhita 538, it is said, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. A saintly person who has developed love of Godhead by devotional service always sees the Lord's transcendental form of Shama Sundar. This Shama Sundar form of the Lord within the heart of a devotee is not imaginary. When a devotee becomes mature in his prosecution of devotional service, he sees face to face the same Shama Sundar he has thought of during the entire course of his devotional service. Since the Supreme Lord is absolute, the form within the heart of a devotee, the form in the temple, and the original form in Vaikuntha, Vrindavan Dham, are all the same. They are non-different from one another. Translation. The form of the Lord, which was brilliant like lightning, and which Dhruva Maharaj, in his mature yogic process, was fully absorbed in meditation, all of a sudden disappeared. Thus, Dhruva was perturbed, and his meditation broke. But as soon as he opened his eyes, he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally present, just as he had been seeing the Lord in his heart. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that there are 4 types of pious men who approach him. 4 people approach Krishna. They are somebody who is in distress, somebody who is impoverished, somebody who is inquisitive, and somebody who is seeking absolute truth. Srila Prabhupada explains that Dhruva Maharaj was a person who approached Krishna who wanted wealth. So the story goes that Dhruva Maharaj, he was a 5-year-old boy, and he wanted to sit on the lap of his father. But his father had 2 wives, and he favored the second wife. He allowed the son of the second wife to sit on his lap, but when Dhruva Maharaj wanted to sit on his lap, he shunned him away. And Dhruva Maharaj, being a Kshatriya, he was angry. And when Kshatriyas are angry, they can do anything to avenge their frustration. So Dhruva Maharaj went to his mother and he requests his mother that I am very angry and I want to avenge this insult. And I want to get a kingdom which is not only bigger than my father, but much bigger than my grandfather. And who was Dhruva's grandfather? Yes, right? Manu. So at that time, his mother, told him that she became his Path Pradakshina Guru, the first Guru. And she instructed him that you can go to the forest and you can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when you approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then all your desires will be fulfilled. Now when a devotee or when a person turns towards Krishna with the desire that I want to serve you, Krishna, then Krishna makes all the arrangements to ensure that a spiritual master comes into that person's life. And that's what happened with Dhruva Maharaj. As he was walking towards the forest, he was intercepted by none other than the great sage Narada. And when Narada approached him, he wanted to test this boy. He wanted to make sure that this boy is actually very strong and serious and determined in what he wants. Getting Krishna is not an easy task. So he wanted to test him. And he told Dhruva that, Dhruva, you're such a small boy. You're just 5 years old. You should just go home now. And then when you're older, at that time, you can then come back to the forest. But Dhruva Maharaj had that Kshatriya spirit. He said, no, I want to reach Krishna's lotus feet. And when Narada saw that Dhruva was actually very strong, serious, and sincere, the 3 S's, strong, serious, and sincere in his determination, Narada instructed him that you have to chant the holy name, meditate on the holy name of Krishna. So Dhruva Maharaj took the instructions of his guru as his life and soul, and he went to the forest and he made a deity out of his own hands with mud. And after he made the deity, he then started to practice austerity. He started to practice fasting. Now fasting, the reason why devotees fast is so we can reduce our dependence on bodily consciousness, and instead we are able to transfer our consciousness to Krishna. So Dhruva Maharaj was practicing this. And while he was practicing, he was following the orders of his spiritual master. Now that is the qualification of a devotee. The qualification of a devotee is not his piety. Piety can actually get us to the point of finding a spiritual master. Piety can help us come to the point of coming to devotional service and finding a guru. But our real qualification is to follow the instructions of our spiritual master with our life and soul. So Dhruva, in the first month, he was only eating kapita fruits which were just for monkeys. And he would eat it once in 3 days. In the second month, he would eat just dry leaves and grass. And he would eat it once in 6 days. In the third month, he was drinking water, and he was just drinking a sip of water once in 9 days. He's a 5-year-old boy. By the fourth month, he was getting so empowered and so strong in his will, and he was able to remember Krishna, that he only was sustaining with 1 breath once in 12 days. And by the 5th month, he was just standing on 1 leg, on 1 toe actually, and he was pressing down on earth. And because of his empowerment, he was so empowered and focused in hearing and remembering Krishna that he was actually pushing down the earth planet with his weight. Our acharyas say that it was actually not his weight. because he was remembering and worshipping Krishna, Krishna actually empowered him, and it was Krishna's weight which was actually coming in the form of Dhruva Maharaj's austerity. He was just pushing down with one toe on the earth, and the entire earth was actually getting pushed down. He started to practice closing all the doors of his body, and by Krishna's will, when that happened, the air in the whole universe stopped. The demigods were now feeling helpless and breathless. They were thinking, why are we not able to breathe? These are huge demigods, like Vayu, the demigod of wind. He controls the air. He could not breathe. So this was Krishna's way of even instructing the demigods that everything is actually coming from me. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that people can approach demigods in the hope of getting some material benefit, but eventually Krishna is the one who is actually fulfilling all those desires. So through Dhruva, he wanted to help the demigods understand that everything is actually emanating from Krishna. And at the same time, Dhruva was just remembering and hearing Krishna, right? He was just trying to remember and hear Krishna's name, his pastime. He was not thinking of how to control this material world. Krishna was actually empowering this devotee. So this is also another understanding for us that if we are sincere in following the words, the instructions of our Guru, we take the instructions of our Guru as our life and soul, then automatically Krishna empowers that devotee without even that devotee wanting anything. The demigods couldn't understand, and then they started to pray to Krishna. And then Krishna appeared in front of the demigods, and he explained to them that it was actually this 5-year small boy who was in Madhuvan by the banks of Yamuna, who was actually controlling this whole air of this universe. And he also assured the demigods not to worry, because he's going to soon go and meet Dhruva Maharaj. We also should understand that if we become proud, Krishna takes away whatever mercy he has shown us. And he wanted the demigods to understand that. Dhruva was so empowered, all he was doing was just remembering Krishna and never forgetting Krishna. So always remembering Krishna, never forgetting Krishna. A-R-K and F-K. Those are the main principles of any devotional practices. If we are always able to remember Krishna and never forget Krishna, everything is subservient to it. And Dhruva Maharaj was in ecstasy just by remembering Krishna. He was in such purified state, a state of samadhi, that he was getting darshan of Krishna within his eyes. To the degree we fix our mind, to that degree we get the mercy from our Guru and Gauranga. Dhruva was originally imagining, because he was instructed by Narada that you have to follow this process. So he was imagining the form of Krishna. But by chanting and meditating, Krishna started to manifest in his heart. Actually, Krishna is there in everyone's heart. But when we close our eyes, what do we see? We see darkness. We're spiritually blind. But when Dhruva was closing his eyes, he was actually seeing the form of Krishna in his heart. He was having sakshat darshan of Krishna. Dhruva had no desires even for material kingdom. He had come to the forest for getting a kingdom which was bigger than his father, much bigger than his grandfather. But now, because he was in such a purified state, he was getting darshan of Krishna, he did not even want any of these material desires. It is said that Dhruva also, when he was meditating and he actually opened his eyes, because Krishna's form went away, he was very perturbed. And because he was so perturbed and disturbed, when he opened his eyes, he saw the same form of Krishna which he was meditating upon. And when he saw Krishna's form in front of his eyes, he said this beautiful prayer that, "Oh Krishna, I was trying to run behind broken pieces of glass, but here I have the diamond of your darshan." So many times we are running behind so many different material desires in this material world, we actually forget what a gift we have got. Only if we follow the instructions of our Guru and we take it as our life and soul. What does life and soul mean? When Srila Prabhupada gives this wonderful example that when somebody is drowning, the only piece what we're thinking about is getting that one breath. We're not thinking about who insulted us, that devotee did not behave well with us. We're not thinking about all of that. The only thing we're thinking about is that one breath. That is life and soul, taking the instruction of our Guru as life and soul. And what was the instruction which Dhruva Maharaj was following? The instruction which his Guru gave was, chant the holy name, remember Krishna, follow the 4 regulative principles. And just by following the instructions of his Guru as his life and soul, he was able to get darshan of Krishna. It is said that Mahaprabhu had a similar experience after he got Diksha and he was going through Kanai Natashala. Mahaprabhu got darshan of Krishna, but then Krishna disappeared. And when Krishna disappeared, Mahaprabhu was so much in separation. When he went back to Navadvip and he met all the devotees, the Lord was weeping, he was crying. He was saying that, I found Krishna, but then Krishna disappeared. He was in separation. Same way we see how Narada, when he was traveling, he got darshan of Krishna, but then Krishna disappeared. And then Narada was just searching. So this is how devotees are always constantly thinking of Krishna within their hearts. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santa sadeva hridayeshu vilochayanti. In the heart of their hearts, devotees are always meditating on Krishna's form. The form we meditate on is none other than the form we see on the deities, on the altar. It's the same form. If we start to think that this form is just of stone or wood, then it becomes material. Actually, if you think of it, everything is emanating from Krishna. All energies are spiritual. So how does it become a material energy? It becomes material when we don't utilize that in Krishna's service. If we actually have that relationship with Krishna, then we are able to understand that this is Krishna himself. Krishna has manifested, so we are able to see him. And only by devotional service can we actually understand Krishna. We can know Krishna. No other process. Now, pure love is revealed only when Krishna is pleased. We see in this wonderful Damodar Ashtakam, which we recite during the month of Kartik, that Mother Yashoda, she did her endeavor, but Krishna only gave the mercy, and only then she was able to bound Krishna with her love. So, our Guru Maharaj's order is our life and soul. The eternal servitude is when there is no difference between what is inside and what is outside. We have to actively utilize everything in Krishna's service. Krishna also says that when we are doing this and we are actively utilizing everything in Krishna's service, we are able to see Krishna everywhere. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that that person who is seeing me in everything and everywhere, that person is never lost to me and I am never lost to that person. When our heart is humble with devotion, only then we are able to see Krishna everywhere. So we have to approach the deity with reciprocation. He's no different from the name, from the form, the pastimes. When we associate with devotees, then our faith increases. So this all comes down to faith. And how does our faith increase? When we associate with devotees. When we associate with somebody who does not have faith, then our faith also decreases. But when we associate with somebody who has faith, then we also get those mercy particles. That is nishtha. Then our heart becomes purified. The sound vibration is actually Krishna himself, and we can see Krishna through our ears. For example, the devotees, the pure devotees, want to keep hearing Krishna's name. They want to keep hearing the same pastimes again and again. They want to see Krishna through their ears. For example, if Krishna appears here in front of us, dancing on Kaliya, we're going to be so overjoyed. But again tomorrow, if Krishna comes and shows us the same pastime, are we going to say, Krishna, no, show us something else? We saw that yesterday. No. Pure devotees are in such a state that they want to constantly hear again and again the same pastimes. And when they hear those same pastimes again and again, they have newer and fresher realizations. The same way we hear of Satyavrat Muni in Damodar Ashtakam. Here he is praying that, oh, Krishna, please allow me to have this form of Damodar, where Mother Yashoda is running behind you, catching you, while you're breaking the pot of butter, feeding it to the monkeys. He's not saying that, Krishna, show me another pastime tomorrow. No. He's saying, show this to me again and again. He wants to hear the same pastime. He's seeing it through the ears. So that, dear devotees, is a sign of spiritual advancement. If we want to hear the same pastime again and again, then we know that we are progressing. Just like Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur, he was chanting 300,000 names every day. Day in and day out, he wanted to just chant the holy name. When he became old, Mahaprabhu said that, Haridas, you don't have to chant. You don't have to chant all the names. But he said, no, Mahaprabhu, I want to chant. He gave up his life because he wanted to chant the holy name. He was not able to do it. We also see in the story in Chaitanya Bhagavat the same mood where Mahaprabhu, he was approached by Gadadhar Pandit once. And Gadadhar Pandit told him that his guru was Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And he had given him the mantra, but he asked Mahaprabhu that, I don't fully understand this mantra. Can you please tell me? Mahaprabhu said, Pundarik Vidyanidhi is a pure devotee. And when somebody gives you the mantra, you should not hear the mantra from anyone else. And I believe Pundarik Vidyanidhi is soon going to be arriving here in Puri. And soon enough, Pundarik Vidyanidhi was in Puri in the next few days. And as soon as he reached, he and Swarup Damodar were very, very close friends. They hugged each other, they shared intimate pastimes with each other, and after a few days in Puri, there was this wonderful pastime of Odhan Shashti. When it becomes a little cold during winter, the devotees, they offer warm garments to the Lord Jagannath. So they had gone to the temple to observe this wonderful pastime. And they noticed that devotees were offering fresh garments to the Lord. Wonderful colors, blue, orange, green, pink, along with that beautiful flowers, jasmine, hibiscus, chrysanthemums, roses, beautiful fragrance. They were both in bliss. They were in ecstasy. They were swooning in ecstasy. And as they were coming back, Pundarik Vidyanidhi told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that, I don't think this festival was correct. There was something wrong. Swarup Damodar said, What? What do you mean? And he said, I saw the devotees were offering to the Lord fresh starched garments. The Vedic culture says that if somebody touches a freshly starched garment, immediately you should wash your hands. They have to be washed. So Pundarik Vidyanidhi was explaining this to Swarup Damodar. And Swarup Damodar was saying, no, this is not the right mood. Here, this festival has been going on for ages. The king of Puri has been practicing this throughout his lineage, offering these garments to Jagannath, and Jagannath has been accepting it. But then Pundarik Vidyanidhi said, no, the Lord might accept it, but the devotees should have the right mood, and we should follow the right rituals. And like that, they were arguing, but they were laughing too, because they were friends. They were having a light conversation and sharing this pastime. At that time, Swarup Damodar and Pundarik Vidyanidhi, they went back to their homes. In the night, Pundarik Vidyanidhi had a dream. And in his dream, Jagannath and Baladev approached him. And when they approached him in his dream, Jagannath was angry. His eyes were really big with anger. Hare Krishna. Imagine Jagannath with big eyes, angry, coming at you. Pundarik Vidyanidhi immediately bowed down and paid his obeisances. But they were angry, and Baladev started to beat him and slap him. And Jagannath started to do the same. And Pundarik Vidyanidhi immediately went down, bowed to their lotus feet and said, please stop. Please accept my forgiveness. I don't know what I have done. And they kept beating him. His cheeks became so red and swollen. And then they said that you have no adhikar to criticize my devotees. The devotees are doing this with their love and affection, and you have no reason to criticize those devotees. And then immediately Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he paid his obeisances, he begged for forgiveness, and Jagannath and Baldev, because they knew that he was a pure devotee, they left him smiling. In the morning, when he woke up, he saw that his cheeks were actually swollen and red. And every morning they actually went to the temple of Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra. Both he and his friend Swarup Damodar. But that day he was missing. So afterwards when they met, Swarup Damodar asked Pundarik Vidyanidhi that, how come you didn't show up to the temple? And what's going on with your face? Why is it so swollen and feels like it's all beaten up? And then Pundarik Vidyanidhi explained, that's what I wanted to share with you. Last night, the discussion we were having, actually, you're correct and I'm wrong. That pastime is something which Jagannath and Baldev, they love. And it was, I'm in the wrong to criticize those devotees. And then he explained the whole pastime. And Swarup Damodar then said that, yes, you're so fortunate that Jagannath and Baldev came and they chastised you in this way. This is the last story actually in the Adi Leela of Chaitanya Bhagavat. And Chaitanya Bhagavat ends with this story. This gives us so many different realizations that we should never judge devotees. The Lord accepts the Vaishnavas as they are. We should always surrender to Krishna with all our humility. And we also see that Krishna always protects his devotees. Here we see that Krishna was protecting Pundarik Vidyanidhi from his thoughts. He was protecting him from his negative thoughts. So when we come here in the Srimad Bhagavatam class, we should actually open our hearts. We should open our hearts in such a way that Krishna is helping us to develop that humility, to ensure that our hearts become soft. Whenever any Vaishnav comes and corrects us, we should think that this is a representative of Krishna who is coming, who is helping us to improve. What are we going to do then if somebody comes to correct us? Is our ego going to come and play and say, no, I know what is right, you don't know what's right? Or are we going to take the position of Pundarik Vidyanidhi to be soft and humble and understand that this was Krishna's way to instruct him? So here we see that when Swarup Damodar and Pundarik Vidyanidhi were seeing the deities of Jagannath, when he was having the dream, when he was remembering, they were all the same. They were one and the same. The same form of Jagannath was on the deities, on the altar. The same form of Jagannath was in his heart, and the same form he was remembering. Just like how Dhruva Maharaj, when he was meditating, he was able to see the same form of Krishna. Dhruva here gave up the desire to get a kingdom, but by Krishna's mercy, he got a bigger kingdom. We don't have the desires for sense gratification. The highest desire we should have is to serve Krishna. So, as we chant the holy name, we should remember that this is non-different from Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada explains in this purport that whatever form we are remembering, whatever form of Shyam Sundar we are remembering, that same form, after continuous years of practice, is going to come in front of us when we actually open our spiritual eyes. So we'll stop here and we'll try to see what realizations devotees have, any reflections or thoughts. Yes, Mother Kunti. Is there a mic we can use? Do you want to use this one if you don't have? Okay.
Thank you so much for the excellent class, Namaskar Prabhu. It was very, very wonderful hearing the glories of Dhruva Maharaj. And we were actually chanting the glories of Dhruva Maharaj yesterday. Right. And then we got to hear again today. Okay. So I'm thinking it's really appropriate that you want to hear it again and again. The question I had, hang on. It's about mental offenses. So would you clarify a little more? Because even Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he didn't say or do, but he thought. He only thought. And the Lord actually blessed him with a slap. So would you elaborate on how we can avoid even mental offenses as much as possible? Thank you.
Thank you, Mother Kunti. So the main point is that we are all in different conditions. We're all covered by different types of conditions. Conditionings which we have had for millions of lifetimes. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that our coverings can be of 3 types. One covering is the dust on the mirror. Very easy, right, to clean it with a cloth. The second type of covering is the smoke and the fire. A little bit more covering than dust on the mirror. And the third type of covering is the embryo in the womb of a mother. So as we have different types of conditionings, it takes different ways in which we can clear those anarthas. the anarthas of, even in the mind, a pure devotee doesn't have those anarthas. But it takes a lot of time, determination, and practice. Now, if we go back to this pastime of Dhruva Maharaj, he had gone to the forest with one and only one desire, which was a material desire, to get a kingdom which was bigger than his father, bigger than his grandfather. However, he did not focus on that during the months he was in the forest. He was focused on chanting the holy name, remembering Krishna, not committing the offenses. And while he was doing that, as a byproduct, his material desires were also fulfilled. So as devotees, we definitely want to avoid criticizing devotees, even in our mind. However, instead of focusing on the negative, if we focus on what we should do instead of what we should not do, then Krishna is going to help us. If we come to Krishna and open our heart, he already knows what's happening in our heart. But if we open our heart and say, Krishna, the door is open. Please come in and do whatever you want to do so I can come back to you. I can serve you. I can please you. Then as byproducts, all the good qualities come in us. Hope that was okay. Hare Krishna. Anybody else? Mr. Bhagwan Prabhu. So happy to see Mr. Bhagwan Prabhu. I was missing Prabhu so much. I'm so happy to see him.
How does exactly that deity, the Lord in the heart, Krishna playing before Krishna's personal manifestation, that they're all the same? I mean, they're different, like the deities are on the altar inside the temple. The Lord in the heart's everywhere. When Krishna personally appears before somebody, that's a different manifestation. But how is it like different and the same at the same time?
So the question is that how are the deities on the altar? How is the form which we see in our heart, the darshan which Dhruva Maharaj was getting in his heart, and the holy name, the form, how are they all the same? So Mr. Bhagwan Prabhu, you're so senior, and I know you know the answer, but for the benefit of all of us, you have asked this question, so I'm going to try answering. So all the energies are actually coming from Krishna. Everything is emanating from Krishna. So in one sense, when you look around, everything is Krishna. However, we start to make all these different differentiations between spiritual energy and material energy based on how we start to interact with those energies. For example, Srila Prabhupada gives the example of the mic. If this mic was used for singing some mundane material songs which are going to be lost in a few years, singers who were very famous just 10 years back, people don't even know them. Maybe there's a little revival, but after millions of years, nobody remembers them. However, Krishna's pastimes are so unique and so fresh that even today, after so many years, after so many millennials, we still remember Krishna. So, if we are able to connect with Krishna's energies in a way that we want to please Krishna, we want to only give pleasure to Krishna, then that becomes a spiritual energy. When we approach the deities in that mode that Krishna is present here in front of us. He kindly has come so we are able to see him face to face. He's kindly come here so we are able to serve him. Then, through our faith, we develop that Shraddha that Krishna is actually present. For us to be able to realize that there is no difference between Krishna's name, form, pastimes, and the deities, we have to come to that faith. And we can only come there by Krishna's mercy, by the association of devotees, when we hear from the Bhagavatam, when we actually go deeper in our devotional practice, only then we are able to realize that. We are hearing right now, but we don't realize that. We realize that only when we go deeper in our practice. And only by Krishna's mercy, then we are able to understand that, wow, Krishna was right here in front of us all this time. And I was spiritually blind to not even see Krishna. Those are some thoughts. Would you like to add something, Prabhu?
I just wanted to add a conversation with Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada on a morning walk. And it was in Chicago. And Srila Prabhupada said to Tamal Krishna Goswami, do you think there's a difference between the deity in the temple and a picture of the deity? And Tamal Krishna Maharaj was honest, but he knew he was given the wrong answer. He says, yes. And Prabhupada said, no, they're not different. And I just thought it was funny because I knew that Tamal Krishna Maharaj the deity on the altar and the picture. Yeah, Prabhupada, Goswami said yes, and then Prabhupada said no. There's no difference. So I guess that's something we just have to believe in, because we're worshiping the deity. Also, one time I paid my you need to get out on book.
Absolutely. Well, and even if we go back to Shastra, there are so many examples in the Shastra where devotees have had that experience with deities, right? A very famous one which comes to me is Sakshi Gopal. In that pastime, there were two brahmanas, one older brahmana and a younger brahmana, and they had gone for a walk, or they had gone for some seva, and the younger brahmana took care so much of the older brahmana that he was so pleased that the older brahmana said that when we go back home, I'm going to give my daughter in marriage to you. But the younger brahmana said, I need a witness. So he said, let's go to this deity of Krishna who is in the forest, and he will be our witness. So the younger Brahmana, he had that mood, right? He was in the mood that this is Krishna himself, and I have Krishna as my witness. So then they went back home, and a month passed away, 2 months passed away, but the old Brahmana was not calling the younger one to offer his daughter in marriage. So the younger Brahmana then went to the house of the older Brahmana and said that you had actually given me this benediction that you're going to give your daughter in marriage. Have you forgotten? And the older Brahmana said, he consulted with his family, and the family said, no, how can you make such a thing without consulting with us? And then they said that, no, we never gave you this vow. We never told you this. You're lying. He said, well, I have a witness, and my witness is the deity in the forest. They said, if you're saying true, get your witness here and let your witness say that. So the younger Brahmana went all the way back to the forest, and he told Krishna that, Krishna, please come, because this is what is happening, and I need you as a witness to come and explain what was told. Krishna then gave him, he said, yes, I'll come, but only on one condition. And the condition is that while you're walking back to the village, you can hear the ankle bells of my feet, but as soon as you turn around, I'm going to stop and I'm not going to follow you. So as the younger Brahmana started walking, he could hear the ankle bells of Krishna, and he came all the way towards the outskirts of the village. And then he kept walking, but he could not hear the ankle bells. And when he turned around, Krishna was there. He was standing. So then when he called everybody from the village and told them that Krishna has come here to be my witness, everybody came and they heard from Krishna. And this pastime shows that, yes, this is Krishna right here. And even today, there's a beautiful temple of Sakshi Gopal. And one more example comes where there was an older devotee. He used to offer, food to bhoga to Krishna every day. But one day he had to travel, so he told his younger son to actually offer bhoga. And the younger son, when he offered bhoga, he saw that the food was not taken; it was still on the plate. So he then told Krishna, Krishna, no, you have to eat, otherwise my father is going to be very angry. And then Krishna ate. And when father came back, he said, where's the food? Where's the prasad? And he said, well, you told me to offer it to Krishna. Krishna accepted it. He had it. The father thought that, the son is actually lying. So he said, you offer again. The boy again offered, and the food was gone. And this time, the father said, I want to see how you're offering. So he offered again. And then Krishna actually came out of the altar to accept the prasad. And at that time, he held Krishna's hand and he said, how come you are accepting, but you don't accept when I offer bhoga? And he said, it's the faith of the small boy. So Krishna says, right? The amount of faith we have is what will, how he reciprocates with us. If we take one step, he takes a step. If we take 100 steps, he takes 1,000 steps. So that's okay. Any last points? Okay, we'll stop here. Thank you, everybody. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Koti Vaishnava ki jai.
भरौ भुवि भुव भारा तारक वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगौ श्री जीव गोपालक वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगौ श्री जीव गोपालक कृष्ण कीर्तन गान कृष्ण कीर्तन गान नर्तन परम प्रेम में कामनी वीर वीर जन प्रिय प्रिय करो निर्मा पूजितम श्री चैतन्य कृपा भरौ तन्न कृपा भरौ भुवि भुव मारव अंतरक वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगौ श्री